In 2007, an experienced software engineer applied for a job at Facebook. He walked out with a rejection, labeled unqualified by the hiring committee. 7 years later, Facebook returned to that same engineer. In 2007, an experienced software engineer applied for a job at Facebook. He walked out with a rejection, labeled unqualified by the hiring committee. 7 years later, Facebook returned to that same engineer. This time, they acquired his company, WhatsApp, and handed him a check for $19 billion. Brian Acton's technical foundation and problem-solving abilities remained constant throughout those 7 years. His intelligence didn't scale by $19 billion. His environment did. This illustrates dislocated pricing. It's a phenomenon where an identical asset holds zero value in one system, but becomes a titan in another. The object remains the same, only the coordinates change. Most of us internalize our failures in the same way. When a system rejects us, we immediately blame our own abilities instead of questioning if we are standing in the wrong coordinate system. The same rigid logic applies to global industry. Humanity generates 50 million tons of electronic waste annually, much of it relegated to landfills and unregulated scrapyards. Within these discarded devices sleeps $57 billion in recoverable gold, silver, and copper. We continue to fund the massive costs of mining new ore while burying these refined metals back into the earth. Early 20th century oil companies repeated this error daily. When they hit oil, natural gas surfaced alongside it. Because their business model only accounted for liquid fuel, they simply ignited the gas at the wellhead, letting it burn 24 hours a day. Those companies possessed the technology to capture that gas, but their narrow commercial framework labeled it a useless byproduct. Today, that waste is worth trillions. This creates a sunk value blind spot. A resource becomes invisible the moment it falls outside our current cognitive or commercial framework. Systemic blindness occurs whenever a rigid framework encounters an asset it wasn't built to recognize. The asset's worth remains even while the system burns it off. This bias is hardwired. In the 1945 Dunker candle experiment, subjects were given a candle, matches, and a box of thumbtacks. Most failed to realize the box itself could be a shelf for the candle because they were focused solely on its role as a container. This is functional fixedness. The container label acts as a cognitive finish line. Once we categorize an object, our focus narrows, effectively filtering out any physical properties that don't serve that one specific purpose. In 2002, Tom Sacchi bypassed this mental trap. While his university dining hall saw a disposal problem, Sacchi identified the tons of daily food scrap as a high-value, zero-cost raw material. By using worms to turn that waste into premium organic fertilizer, he built a supply chain with no raw material costs. His company, TerraCycle, turned a dead-end byproduct into a global business. This approach moves beyond the linear cradle-to-grave path. It establishes a cradle-to-cradle loop, where the end point of one system provides the fuel for another. Human traits are governed by these same environmental rules. Our individual quirks often function exactly like natural gas or agricultural waste, misunderstood and underutilized. Traditional Japanese carpentry operates on the philosophy that there is no bad wood, only wood placed in the wrong part of the house. A straight grain serves as a pillar, a cross grain supports a beam. In human terms, oversensitivity is a liability in a high-conflict brute force role, but in detail-oriented analysis or artistic insight, that same trait becomes a genius-level asset. What we perceive as our deepest personal flaws are often just highly specialized traits performing in an environment that has no use for them. In The End of Average, Todd Rose argues that the metrics we use to judge ourselves are entirely arbitrary. We struggle because we treat a man-made standard as an absolute truth. Standardized tests and corporate ladders act as rigid sieves. If you don't match the specific square geometry, you are filtered out and labeled unqualified. Adjusting the mesh of the filter changes the definition of value instantly. This is exactly what happened to the founder of WhatsApp. His value didn't vanish in the Facebook interview room. It was simply obscured by a sieve that wasn't built to recognize him. Lasting success comes from leaving filters designed for someone else. You flourish the moment you locate the environment where your jagged, unique traits are the exact solution the system is built to reward.